Sergeant Yakov Pavlov, Red Army Infantry, improvised anti-tank detachment. His account and the testimonies of his unit reveal, at the foxhole level, how ordinary soldiers with simple weapons destroyed elite German tanks in overlooked battles of the East. There was a truth that everyone knew. You do not stop elite tanks with men on foot. Not when those tanks carry modern armor, 75mm guns, and crews trained from Poland to France. For years, the Germans believed that mechanized warfare had an unbreakable rule: infantry without heavy support breaks. Always. Panzer divisions advance. Infantry retreats. That was how it worked. This belief did not come from empty arrogance. It came from real victories. Warsaw in weeks. Paris in days. Armored columns crossing borders as if they were paper. German specialists, generals, engineers, everyone agreed. The modern tank was king. And in the summer of 1942 on the Eastern Front, that rule seemed even more absolute. The Wehrmacht advanced with Panthers, improved Panzer IVs, Stu GS. The Soviet Union bled men, territory, and time. But there was one detail the Germans ignored. A detail buried in mud, cold, and fear. Because in 1942, a Soviet sergeant, not yet 30 years old, armed with little more than improvised explosives and brutal discipline, was about to prove that this rule was not a law. It was only an assumption. And it would be broken, tank by tank. You are Yakov Pavlov, Red Army Sergeant. Son of peasants. Little formal education. No romantic illusions about war. You are not a general. You are not an engineer. You are a man trained to hold ground, and die if necessary. In 1942, you command a small infantry group in defensive battles in the southern sector of the Eastern Front, in secondary areas ignored by the grand maps of history. This is not Kursk. This is not Moscow. These are villages, crossroads, abandoned factories, railway lines. And precisely because of that, they are vital. Every road sustains the German advance. Every village is a resupply point. Every rail line keeps the panzers moving. The problem is simple and cruel. You do not have enough tanks. The artillery is far away. Air support is non-existent. What you have are exhausted men, Mosin Nagant rifles, grenades, incendiary bottles, and a few light anti-tank weapons. 14.5mm PTRDs, hard to operate, slow, dangerous to the shooter. And in front of you, German armored columns advance confidently. Veteran crews. Radios working. Doctrine tested in battle. To the German command, you do not exist. On the maps, your position is irrelevant. But if you fail, these tanks will not stop. And you know it. The first sound is not a shot. It is the ground vibrating. You feel it before you hear it. Then comes the constant metallic roar. Tracks Maybach engines. They are coming. You position your men in absolute silence. 12 soldiers. No tanks of your own. The distance closes. 1,500 meters. 1,200. 900. You do not order fire. Not yet. You know that firing early is dying early. The German tanks advance in open formation, confident. A Panzer IV in front. Stu GS close behind. Motorized infantry following. At 400 meters you raise your fist. No. The first PTRD shot cracks sharply. The 14.5mm round strikes the side of a Panzer IV. It does not penetrate completely, but it damages the track. The tank spins. Stops. Immediately the Germans respond. Cannons traverse. Machine guns rake the area. Earth erupts. Shrapnel slices through the air. One of your men screams, "Short, final." You do not retreat. You order the second step of the plan. Teams with incendiary bottles crawl forward. The smell of gasoline mixes with gunpowder. At 30 meters. 2010. A bottle shatters over the engine compartment. Fire. Muffled screams from inside the tank. Another panzer tries to flank. You wait. You let it pass. Improvised explosive. Placed on the rear. Detonation. The tank does not explode like in Hollywood. It dies slowly. Smoke. Silence. The crew tries to escape under rifle fire. The Germans understand now. This is not a casual ambush. It is a trap. They try to pull back. And then comes the moment when everything almost fails. A Stoogie advances straight down the main street. Low gun. Thick frontal armor. Your PTRD fires. Ricochet. Another shot. Nothing. The Stoogie is at 200 meters. 150. 100. You feel fear rising. This is the end. You know it. Then a 19-year-old soldier runs. He does not wait for orders. He throws himself against the tank. A hand explosive pressed against the lower side. The blast kills him instantly. The Stoogie stops. Silence. The German column withdraws, leaving behind 7 vehicles destroyed or disabled. 7. For a unit that did not exist. If you find this kind of forgotten history as fascinating as we do, it would be an honor if you pressed the subscribe button. We believe these stories of courage, sacrifice, and ingenuity deserve to be told. And by subscribing, you help ensure they are not forgotten. What you do not see that day is the real impact. German reports begin to mention something strange. Highly effective Soviet infantry against armored vehicles. Abnormal losses in secondary sectors. Commanders demand more support. More reconnaissance. More caution. Advance is slow. Routes change. Tanks begin to wait for infantry. Every minute lost costs fuel. Every delay breaks the rhythm of the blitzkrieg. What began as small tactical defeats turns into strategic attrition. And the German command does not understand how. Because it was not new tanks. It was not secret technology. It was ordinary men, breaking rules believed to be eternal. Yakov Pavlov survives the war. He carries scars. He carries names. Some of his men do not return. The 19-year-old soldier has no monument of his own. But his act lives on in reports, in memories, in silences. Today, when people talk about tanks and mechanized warfare, almost no one remembers these forgotten units. But without them, the German advance would not have been delayed. And every delay saved cities. Saved armies. Saved time. This story matters now because it reminds us of something essential. Technology does not win alone. Doctrine is not invincible. And war, in the end, always depends on people. If this story moved you, please click the like button. Each click tells the algorithm that this piece of history deserves to be remembered. We are dedicated to rescuing these forgotten stories from the archives. If you want to join us on this mission, subscribe and turn on notifications. Where are you watching from? Leave a comment with your city or state and tell us if anyone in your family served. Thank you for ensuring that Yakov Pavlov and the 12 men of his anti-tank detachment do not disappear into silence. They deserve to be remembered.